Turns out Wendy Williams wasn't just being dramatic when she said Diddy had been trying to take her out for years. She meant every word. And now, disturbing new details are surfacing that suggest there might have been a lot more going on behind the scenes than we ever knew. Word on the street is not only was Diddy allegedly trying to harm Wendy, but her ex-husband Kevin Hunter might have played a major role too. Fans are now speculating that Kevin may have been helping Diddy from behind the scenes, even while he and Wendy were still married. And let's be honest, we already know Kevin wasn't winning any Husband of the Year awards. He cheated, had a whole baby with another woman, and lived off Wendy's hard-earned money for years. But this takes it to a whole different level. Some fans believe Kevin wasn't acting alone either. They say he may have teamed up with certain staff members on the Wendy Williams show to sabotage her, ultimately pushing her into that now infamous conservatorship. Wendy herself said she began experiencing strange physical and mental symptoms that she couldn't explain, and now she believes it was all part of a bigger setup. People have long suspected Kevin had financial motives, but it's looking more and more like he may have been working against Wendy from the inside, even long before their marriage ended. Diddy's alleged involvement adds a whole new, dark twist to the story, and the big question now is, why? What did they stand to gain from Wendy's downfall? And did someone actually profit from her being placed under a conservatorship? Let's break it down. Everyone knows Kevin Hunter did Wendy dirty throughout their 21-year marriage. His long-term affair with Sharina Hudson was no secret, especially by the end. Their relationship reportedly lasted over a decade, and it's what finally pushed Wendy to file for divorce. But Kevin wasn't just sneaking around. He was lavishing Sharina with luxury. We're talking bills paid, designer bags, fancy cars, and even a nearly $1 million house, picked out by Sharina herself, just minutes from the home he shared with Wendy. The audacity, and the worst part, he was doing all of it with Wendy's money. It's said Wendy first discovered the affair by spotting suspicious messages on Kevin's phone. She already had a gut feeling, and this confirmed it. Even then, she didn't leave him immediately. She tried to hold the marriage together, but emotionally, it was wearing her down. Still, she wasn't naive. As far back as 2012, Wendy had started planning her exit. She knew Kevin wasn't going to change, and she was done financing someone else's lifestyle. When the time was right, after the news broke in 2019 that Kevin had fathered a child with Sharina, Wendy filed for divorce and cut him off for good. It took 9 months of messy legal battles and back-and-forth drama before the divorce was finalized in January 2020. But for Wendy, it wasn't just about ending a relationship. It was about protecting herself and everything she'd built. But here's where it gets darker. Rumors started flying that Kevin had been scheming against her for years, and he wasn't alone. Allegedly, producers from the Wendy Williams show may have been in on it. And you want to know who's rumored to have backed the whole thing? Diddy. Allegedly, there was a coordinated effort to tarnish Wendy's image, to make her look unstable so others could stay in control of her career and finances. From the outside, it may have looked like Wendy was just struggling personally. But fans now believe that was the plan, to make her look like the problem while others pulled the strings. So why would Diddy be involved? Well, because he's had long-standing beef with Wendy. And when I say beef, I mean serious beef, stretching all the way back to the 90s. Their feud escalated when Wendy began calling out Diddy's alleged mistreatment of Cassie publicly, and long before it became a widespread conversation. Wendy was one of the first to speak up, and Diddy reportedly never forgave her for it. From there, things only got messier. And now, with all of these allegations swirling around Diddy, and the layers of betrayal Wendy's endured, it's no wonder fans are putting the pieces together and asking the hard questions. Was Wendy Williams set up by the very people closest to her? Was Diddy pulling strings behind the scenes? And how much of what we thought was her personal spiral was actually a carefully planned takedown? Let's just say, it's looking less like coincidence and more like a calculated fall.
You know, my thing about when you date a mogul is that it's really difficult to avoid them, because if you use your head, you never know when they're gonna pop up on the scene. Like, he's mogul, like he can hire a plane right now, zoom it to South Africa, land on the roof of the hotel where she's staying, okay? Pay people off at the front desk, give me the key and let me up in her room. Like, I'm already paranoid. as a person. But to know that somebody could actually swoop down on me in the middle of nothing.
Like I said, the beef between Wendy Williams and Diddy goes way back to the 90s, when Diddy had just launched Bad Boy Records and Wendy was making waves as a radio host on New York's Hot 97. At the time, Bad Boy was on fire, with artists like Lil' Kim, the Notorious Big, Faith Evans, and Total dominating the charts. Diddy was heavily relying on platforms like Hot 97 to promote his artists and keep their music in constant rotation. So when Wendy started using her platform to speak out and share some less than flattering opinions about Diddy, he wasn't having it. Even though Bad Boy was still relatively new, its influence was undeniable, and Diddy wasn't about to let anyone, especially someone as bold and unfiltered as Wendy, threaten that momentum. Now you'd think the logical thing to do would be to confront the issue directly, have a conversation, and move on. But if there's one thing we've learned about Diddy over the years, it's that he doesn't exactly take the high road when dealing with conflict. Word on the street is, instead of addressing the situation like an adult, he allegedly sent his girl group Total to confront and even rough up Wendy.
I remember I got off the air one day and them Total were downstairs waiting, and everybody upstairs at the radio station is looking down, egging it on, waiting for something to go down. I wasn't yet married. My knight in shining armor screeched up in his car just out of nowhere. I didn't even know what was about to happen. Skell hiding like a girl. Thanks, Skell. I'm standing in the door like, what? And I'm literally about to go through. Now, I'm not like, what, let's fight, because I'm not one of those type of bro.
Luckily for Wendy, her then husband Kevin Hunter was there to step in when Total allegedly showed up looking for a fight. Say what you want about Wendy. She's got a mouth that can cut through steel, but throwing hands, not really her thing. Facing off against all three members of Total would have been a losing battle from the start. Still, Wendy wasn't about to back down just because things got heated. That's never been her style. If Diddy thought sending Total to intimidate her would silence Wendy, he clearly underestimated who he was dealing with. Wendy doubled down, turning up the heat and spilling even more of his secrets as payback. She's been throwing shade since day one, and Diddy got a front row seat to just how sharp her tongue could be. Of course, Diddy didn't just sit there and take it. He clapped back, and he didn't play fair. Things got messy real fast. Not long after that showdown, Wendy got her major revenge. She leaked a photo of Diddy's son, Justin Combs, chilling with none other than Suge Knight, Diddy's biggest enemy at the time. That picture was a massive blow to Diddy's image, and let's just say he did not take it lightly. If you think the drama between Diddy and Suge is wild now, back then it was on a whole other level. During the height of the East Coast-West Coast beef, their hatred was real, no fake industry shade. These two really despised each other. Meanwhile, Diddy was dealing with his own messy situation. Serious paternity drama. He straight up denied being Justin's dad and even accused Marisa Miller of trying to pin another man's baby on him. So when Wendy leaked that photo of Justin hanging out with Suge Knight, it wasn't just gossip. It was personal, a brutal hit to his pride. And just when he thought things couldn't get worse, rumors started swirling that Wendy had an even juicier photo, one that could seriously damage Diddy's image. Back then, even a whisper of scandal could ruin a rapper's career, and Diddy wasn't about to let that happen. Things reached a boiling point when Wendy dropped a hint on her show about holding some seriously damaging dirt on him. Word is, someone close to Diddy tipped him off about what she had. Apparently, Diddy and his crew took a wild trip to a tropical spot, partying with a bunch of women, but there was another man involved. Not just any guy. Rumor has it someone snapped a photo of Diddy in a compromising situation with this man, shorts being pulled down and all. That picture was a ticking time bomb that could have destroyed everything he built. Once Diddy caught wind of it, he went full damage control, working fast to silence Wendy before she could release the photo and ruin his reputation for good. And how did he do it? According to Gene, Diddy used his clout to get Wendy fired from her job at Hot 97. Remember how I said earlier that Diddy used Hot 97 to push his artists? Well, Gene revealed that Diddy didn't just threaten Wendy. He warned that if she didn't back off, he'd pull all of his artists' music from the station. Not only that, he made it clear none of his industry contacts would ever use Hot 97 to promote their acts again. Back then, Diddy had serious power, so when he said it, people knew he meant business and that he would follow through.
Got one of the hottest DJs off of Hot 97 because she wanted to put up a picture of him getting his pants pulled down. You understand what I'm saying? For whatever reason, dude was playing with Puff. He went behind him and grabbed his trunks and pulled them down. When he grabbed his trunk to pull them down, some girls that was taking pictures. They took that picture and emailed it back to Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams said she had him in a compromising position and like it was gay porn or something like that. And she was gonna put it out. So they stopped her from putting it out.
And they got her fired from High 97 because of
Wendy has also mentioned before that Diddy tried to take her down at the state level for daring to expose him.
There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams. And she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such.
Wendy's now ex-husband, Kevin Hunter, also opened up in an interview, revealing just how close Diddy came to destroying Wendy's life and career.
True that Diddy got her fired from the radio station. Did he have anything to do with that?
I think that he had, yes, I think he had, well, let's be clear, nobody got fired.
Okay.
He got suspended.
Okay.
Yeah. Did he use his influence and power with Steve Smith and them at the time? And God knows whatever his relationship was with the overall station, because Bad Boy was a powerhouse. We all know how Bad Boy dominated a large part of the 90s. And as far as New York, you know, there was a powerhouse. So was he, you know, King Joffrey Joe? Yeah. Did he go in there and shake them up and say, yo, you know, I want this chick off?
So it seems Kevin was anti-Diddy at first, but word on the streets is that everything changed once he realized Wendy's money wasn't going to last forever. He probably figured she was going to kick him out, and that's when he allegedly switched his loyalty to Diddy. The rumors get even darker from there. Claims started circulating that someone was sneaking substances into Wendy's tea without her knowing, literally spiking her tea before every show taping. This wasn't just a figure of speech. According to blogger Storm Monroe, these substances were allegedly carefully chosen to be undetectable once mixed in. The plan was to slowly mess with Wendy's behavior, making her appear more unstable and off on camera. The ultimate goal: to make it look like she was losing control both on and off the screen, while the people behind the scenes quietly set her up to take the fall.
Wait, 5 tapings a week. Every single taping, she always had what? Her cup. What was in her cup? Her tea. Now, a lot of the audience and the public assumed she was putting some whiskey in there. She had liquor. Sometimes it was wine. No, baby. It was tea. It was tea. And even though she put her own tea bag in there and she would drop her own cough drop in there, she was not the one heating up the water and bringing it to the actual desk. So whoever was in charge of her hot water to be there ready for her to dip her tea bag in, that's probably who y'all need to look at. I can't say no names, but that's all I can say is that she was literally being through her tea that she drunk every single.
People began noticing Wendy acting very different on the show, slurring her words, stumbling over sentences, and sometimes completely losing her train of thought. Some days she seemed confused or overly emotional, not the Wendy everyone knew. Naturally, rumors spread that she was battling mental health issues or addiction. Tabloids and social media exploded with speculation, painting a picture of Wendy falling apart. But the truth was far worse. Wendy wasn't struggling on her own. Allegedly, without her knowledge, substances were being slipped into her tea, causing the strange behavior. The worst part? The people behind it were supposed to be on her side.
But they was dropping in there to Wendy, to make her look loopy, to make her seem loopy and delirious so she could eventually be pushed into a conservatorship, actually started to she started to have negative effects with it, okay? The reason why her lymphedema started to act up was because of what she was being drugged with. When Wendy was falling over the chair and calling out to her mom even after her mom had died, she was being drugged. She was being, but she didn't, of course she didn't know it. She wasn't aware of it. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been drinking out of that cup. Now, what they her with, what was the dosage? I don't know. Just know there are many different ways to drug people, and in this industry.
If you're wondering why anyone would go to such terrifying lengths, brace yourself. It gets even darker. Word on the street is that Kevin, Diddy, and the production team allegedly had a far more twisted plan. They weren't just trying to damage Wendy's reputation, they wanted total control over her life. The goal was to push her behavior to appear so unstable and out of control that they could justify placing her under a conservatorship. If that had happened, they would have gained legal authority over her career, finances, basically every part of her life.
That being said, she started to exhibit more and more erratic behavior on air. People thought she was drunk. People thought that maybe she was back using her lymphedema, continued to act up, but it was all a plot between Kevin Hunter, production, and of course the bank Wells Fargo to eventually lock Wendy in a conservatorship and to make her look.
During the tapings of the Wendy Williams show, Wendy's speech became noticeably slurred and confused. She often struggled to form sentences, and her thoughts seemed scattered. Naturally, viewers grew concerned, sparking rumors about her mental health and possible hidden personal struggles. Some even speculated she might have relapsed into heavy drinking. But like most schemes, this one wasn't foolproof. Things began to unravel when Kevin Hunter, who was reportedly a key player in the plan, was pushed out of the conservatorship plot. If Kevin was the first to be sidelined, it suggests there were tensions within the group behind the scheme. Maybe Kevin wasn't as trusted as they initially thought, or perhaps they disagreed on how to handle controlling Wendy.
Being said, at some point, Kevin was kicked out of this plan to put Wendy in this conservatorship. So think about who was all involved with this. Production, and by production, I mean production / the network, right? Wells Fargo, and then of course Kevin, but Kevin got kicked out the circle. Kevin got kicked out of the circle, and then the white folks took over. And from what my source is telling me, it's not even just that the white folks took over, it's that them people are gonna always stick to.
Kevin got played hard. This sheds light on why, in 2023, he publicly lashed out at Wells Fargo, saying Wendy was in rehab and accusing them of suddenly cutting off his money flow. He claimed, "These people just stopped depositing my money cold turkey. They've tried to starve me out. At the end of the day, I earned that money and I'm not letting them take it." Kevin also acknowledged that Wendy wasn't in a good place and was surrounded by people exploiting her condition, including those behind the so-called guardianship. Kevin thought he was playing his part in the scheme to come out on top. He probably believed that by supporting the conservatorship plan, he'd secure millions and keep living large, but he was dead wrong. Instead of profiting, Kevin ended up broke, publicly begging Wendy for money just to pay his bills. After all the manipulation, betrayal, and backstabbing, Kevin was left with nothing. Now, it seems Wendy is finally ready to spill the tea on Diddy and everyone involved in the plot to bring her down. She even hinted at this in a recent interview.
Prison for life, people. You don't know things that I knew about Diddy back in the day, and you want to know what? It's about time, people. It is about time. Diddy done.
She still got it.
Diddy done, do-da day.
How you doing? See, she still got it.
Hey.
Wendy.
Oh my God.
Hey.
The queen has spoken. There you have it.
That's right. This is just the first step of.
So, is Wendy planning to testify against Diddy in court, or does she have something even more shocking up her sleeve? We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, I want to hear what you think about all this. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to check out the next video.